Thank you, Zimbabwe, for tuning into yet another informative edition of your program. This is Agricultural New Directions, Agribusiness, and my name is Wadzanai Manyore. So this is a platform where our farming community here in Zimbabwe converges. This is where we share ideas and we share business ideas in terms of business fundamentals, production economics, time value of money, business finance, when it comes to production here in Zimbabwe. Now, if you look at our NDS1, it speaks of reducing our import bill, and one of the ways we are going to be doing that is through production, local production here in Zimbabwe. We are going to be looking at hybrid king onion production in Marondela, Mashonaland East. Stay tuned. Thank you, Zimbabwe, for staying tuned to Agricultural New Directions, Agribusiness. As I have highlighted earlier, today we are going to be talking of hybrid king onion production. And we have taken the liberty of visiting Tinashe Rodney Chitsowe. He is here at Mukute Farm along the Harare-Marondera Highway, where they are doing tremendous work in terms of horticultural activities and projects. Tinashe, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Can you maybe take us through a brief background, a brief synopsis of this establishment? When did you establish it? The land preparation, the various resources that you mobilized to ensure that you come out with a beautiful crop like this one?
Okay, so we started this crop sometime in end of January. We started with setting up our nursery, which we did in the other part of the farm. We used about 10 kg seed of hybrid onion, a variety called Dina. At planting, we used compound C. During the setup of the nursery, we used compound C, and we came back with top dressing of ammonium nitrate. We took care of the nursery for about 5 weeks. Then we transferred it into this field.
Okay.
Yeah, but in this field now, we came in with a reaper so that we could break the soil clods from underneath the surface.
Okay.
And then after that, we came in with a plow, and then we followed by with a disc harrow.
Okay.
After that, yeah. So after the disc harrow, we came in with our fertilizer. We broadcasted our fertilizers. We used compound C again at a rate of about 1,200 kg per hectare. We mixed it with about 200 kg of SSP and about 500 kg of gypsum. That's when we came back with a bed maker to make these beds that you're seeing today. After using the bed maker, that's when we came in with our people now transplanting seedling by seedling until we finished this field. Okay,
speaking of seedlings, Tinashe, I understand that you are saying that you established your own nursery, you did it yourself.
Yes.
Is it lucrative, is it advisable for a farmer to outsource seedlings from those that prepare it, or you would say that it's better to do it on yourself? What are your sentiments on that?
My sentiment is it's better for you to set up your own nursery.
Okay.
If you look at the onion populations, we are looking at least 600,000 plants per hectare. And if you go to any nursery, I believe the cheapest that you can get your seedlings is about $6 per 1,000 seedlings.
Okay.
Of which, if you calculate, you realize that that's already a lot of money into your production cost. So I would advise farmers that they just buy their own seed and they do the nursery on their own. It saves them more than 20% of the production cost of the crop.
Okay, thank you so much. I want us to talk about the soil requirements. I can see where we're standing here is roughly between sandy and loam. In terms of onion production, what kind of soils are we looking at?
Basically, the crop prefers soils that are a bit loose, but having soils that are compacted is also not a limitation.
Okay.
There are ways that farmers can use their compacted soils to make sure that they get the best of the crop. So yeah, the crop definitely prefers soils that are a bit loose, but even if you have soils that are not loose, it's not a limitation to growing onions.
Okay, Tinashe, when it comes to fertilizer application, you highlighted that you broadcasted your fertilizer. Can you maybe take us through the requirements of the fertilizer per hectare when it comes to onion production? There are instances where you would find that one of the farmers that I interacted with, he was sending his onion to a certain supermarket, and he was saying that he was having challenges of the bulb. They were saying that the bulb is too big, it's humongous, and it's unacceptable for them. And he attributed it to maybe more fertilizers. He over-applied fertilizer. Can you maybe highlight fertilizer application per hectare, looking at the economies and diseconomies of scale?
Okay, onion is definitely a heavy feeder. It requires quite large amounts of nutrition, but applying more than what is required is usually disastrous, and the result is, as you've mentioned, bulbs that are too big for the intended markets.
Yes.
And sometimes if you're targeting to drier onions, they'll have a thicker stem, which is difficult or makes it impossible for you to dry the onions and store them for longer periods that you're supposed to enjoy. So now in our field now, we did a soil test, and all our applications were based on the results of the soil test. That's when we got the recommendation to use about 1,200 kgs compound C, 200 kgs SSP,
Okay.
about 500 kgs gypsum. Then on top dressing, we came in with ammonium nitrate about 100 kgs per hectare, and we came in with potato top dress at about 150 kgs per hectare, as well as SOP at about 100 kgs per hectare. Those were our top dressings. They were also supported by certain foliar fertilizers that we are applying, the likes of Quick Start, Windstart, Windgrow, and Quick Grow.
Okay,
Yes.
Tinashe, you would find that onions are usually produced, or their period is mainly in winter, according to the vegetable calendar here in Zimbabwe, which means that it is a dry season. You use irrigation. Take us through your water application systems. Is it drip irrigation? Is it overhead? And weekly, how many millimeters are we looking at?
Okay, here at this farm, we are using overhead, which is in form of a center pivot.
Okay.
It's excellent for this kind of crop, where probably types irrigation like drip might be difficult to use, but with pivot now, our water coverage is usually 100%, and it is best considering the crop that we have. So usually per week, it varies with the temperatures that we'll be enjoying, but mostly twice or thrice a week is enough to irrigate this crop. And we are looking at about when the temperatures are low, we are looking at about probably 50 to 60 millimeters, and when it's warm, probably a little bit above 70 millimeters per week.
Okay, thank you so much, Tinashe, for the detailed presentation. Now viewers are going to go on a short commercial break. We'll be right back with this and more in the second segment. Stay tuned. Thank you, Zimbabwe, for staying tuned to Agricultural New Directions, Agribusiness. We are here in the second segment of your program, where we are talking of hybrid king onion production here in Zimbabwe. Now, viewers, we encourage you to be a part of these conversations. Feel free to get in touch with me, the producer, Wadzanai Manyore, on 0772 807 506. Alternatively, you can like our Facebook page, Agribusiness with Wadzanai. Leave your comments and suggestions on our YouTube channel, Agribusiness with Wadzanai. We are also now available on Twitter, where conversations like these ones will be taking place, and we'll be answering most of your pertinent questions. It's at Agribusiness 110. Now, earlier on, before we went to the break, Tinashe here was taking us through the nitty-gritties of onion production here in Zimbabwe. They are located in Mashonaland East along the Harare-Marondera Highway, where they are producing this kind of crops. We have high-value crops here. As you can see, we have the hybrid king onion. Tinashe, we are in the second segment. Welcome back.
Thank you.
I want us to talk about the general management of this crop, from establishment up to maturity, senescence, when you harvest. What does it entail, the activities that will be taking place? I also understand that earlier on, before we went to the break, you spoke of using the overhead irrigation, which comes with risks of weeds and even the spread of diseases, given that the water will be splashing throughout the field. Can you take us through the general maintenance of an onion crop?
Okay, the most troublesome thing when it comes to planting onions is usually the transplanting itself.
Okay.
It requires a lot of hands. As you can see, these plants, they are closely together, and for you to finish a field as big as this, it shows that there were quite a number of hands that were involved. And usually that's the greatest cost when it comes to the labor requirement of the crop.
Okay.
For instance, this crop, it took us about 20 days to finish the 3 hectares with 15 people every day.
Okay.
So you can see that the budget is quite high on the transplanting process. So, but the good thing now is that's usually the only process that requires a lot of people.
Okay.
Everything else is
You can do it single-handedly.
You can do it with fewer people now.
Okay.
Because as you can see, no single hoe was used in this field. We
Okay.
came in with herbicides, the weed control. We used Go, we used Drone Star to clear the field. Then every other thing, spraying and fertilizers. That's 3 or 4 people are able to do this field in a single day. After transplanting now, that's when we came in with quite a strong crop protection program. and we're having quite help from numerous agronomists on how we can safeguard the crop.
Thank you so much, Tinashe. That was very detailed. Now I want us to talk about markets. You would find that most of our Zimbabwean farmers are eagerly waiting to hear whether is it profitable, is it lucrative, do you get your return per dollar invested. I want us to talk about beginning with how you are going to be selling your onion. Are you going to be selling them in a fresh state, or you are going to take them for curing, for drying as the golden bulb? What are you going to be doing? One. Secondly, I want you to highlight, is it more lucrative for you to sell them in their fresh state, or it is better to treat them, to cure them first? Which one fetches a higher market price?
Okay, this crop, as you can see, it's quite an early establishment. Our target is to sell them as fresh.
Okay.
Usually Zimbabwe imports a lot of onions from South Africa during from probably April up until more probably July, when a lot of farmers start producing their onions.
Yes.
So now our target was to sell this crop as green as it is, as fresh as it is.
Okay.
But I'm not taking out anything from farmers that decide to dry the onions. There is also another window that comes in after the selling of these fresh onions, probably from October going onwards until probably February, January,
Okay.
March. Therefore, I would say that onion is one of the crops that are quite lucrative when you look at the investment versus the revenue analysis. I can safely tell you that it is very easy for you to get a return per dollar of in excess of $2 from this crop.
Okay,
Yes.
Thank you, Tinashe. Now you highlighted the fact that you wouldn't take anything away from a farmer who's saying maybe they want to cure their onion, meaning that we are going to be talking of issues surrounding periods of gluts and then periods of shortages. Moving right along, Tinashe, I want us to talk about your labor requirements per hectare. You spoke of having maybe 15 people for 20 days to cover this field when transplanting. Generally, do you require skilled labor, or anyone who you can train on the job will be suitable to undertake this task of transplanting, managing and stuff?
Definitely every crop requires skilled people that know what they are supposed to do. For instance, when you're transplanting this crop, you don't need to bury the seedlings too much deep into the ground.
Okay.
It affects your bulbing now. So now, but you will be surprised if I tell you that this crop, we actually planted with people that had never planted onions before.
Okay.
So as much as the process needs people that are skilled, it's also easy for one to be taught and master the skill in a very short space of time.
Okay, and to just adding on that, 20 days is such a long period. By then, I'm sure they were experts. And maybe when you come back next season, they will come in handy, given that they are now experienced. Now, Tinashe, can we talk about maintenance of your yields, expected yield per hectare, and how do you ensure that you maintain your yield up to the market? Because there are situations whereby most of our Zimbabwean farmers encounter losses during harvesting and even storage. Can you maybe take us through that?
Okay, so basically our strategy here is the market, they come in with their harvesting labor now. So they're just picking out what they want and leaving out the rest in the field.
Okay.
But now, our people now, they come in to monitor and ensure that they're doing it in a very diligent way that doesn't damage the remaining crop, that will benefit the next buyer.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Tinashe. On that note, viewers, we have come to the end of this segment. We are going to go on a short commercial break, but maybe before we do that, Tinashe, your final words as we round off this segment. Your word of advice to our farming community, your recommendations in terms of the relationship between farmers and agronomists as we round off.
Okay, my advice to farmers is to maintain a good relationship with agronomists. They're there to make sure that these farming activities, they're as lucrative as possible, and they make sure that you produce the best of produce from your fields. And farmers should take this this farming thing quite seriously, because it's very lucrative. It can actually help you to live the kind of lifestyle that you admire, and yeah.
On that note, we have come to the end of the second segment. We are going to go on a short commercial break. We'll be right back with this and more in the third and final segment. Stay tuned. Thank you, Zimbabwe, for staying tuned to Agricultural New Directions, Agribusiness. We are here in the third and final segment of your program, where we are going to be looking at crop protection of the onion crop. Earlier on, we were with the farmer, Tinashe Rodnishisowe, and he was taking us through how he did it, how he managed to establish this crop from seed bed up to the field. Now we are going to be anchoring more on our technical support, and for that we are going to be relying on KD Mugwagwa. He is with Syngenta. KD, thank you for joining us today.
Hi, Wadzenai, how are you?
Yes. Can you maybe take us through the nitty-gritties of onion production when it comes to crop protection, the pests and diseases which are a nuisance in onion production from the seed bed up to the field?
Thank you, Wadzenai. I think on the pests and diseases, we are going to break them up. Maybe I'll start off with the diseases that we can incur in onion. We've got what we call the seedling bed diseases,
okay,
which include damping off,
okay,
whereby you see your seedlings, they become weakly and some of them even die off, thereby reducing your population even from the seed bed.
Okay.
And maybe that in Zimbabwe we've got many companies with so many solutions which can render a solution to that.
Okay.
Moving on, we've also got foliar diseases. I'll start off with the troublesome one, the alternaria purple blotch.
Okay.
Whereby you see the leaf of the onion has got a dryish, and then sometimes they have a light purplish color on the leaves. That disease can wipe out your crop. And I'm happy to say that there are also solutions here in Zimbabwe which include your revus, your regional gourds and other crop solutions. And then moving on, I can say that we also have got botrytis leaf blight, which can also affect our crops right in the field. And there are also troublesome soil-borne diseases, especially
okay,
of fusarium, but those ones are not much common in Zimbabwe. And then moving on to the post-harvest diseases, because as you know that these onions, some of them are grown for the fresh market, but some of them they need to be stored so that farmers can have a higher return on the dollar invested. And that's when you see that we have got diseases like your botrytis neck rot,
okay,
whereby where the onion is drying from, it then rots from there going inside. There's also soft rot, which whereby when you cut your onion, already starting to rot from the middle.
Yes.
Those are some of the diseases that I can say we've got in Zimbabwe. And moving on to the pests, I think the most troublesome and the one many farmers have incurred are the thrips.
Okay.
The thrips can be troublesome, especially if we incur warm temperatures in between the cycle of onion production. Then on the pest, what I'm going to focus on is are the thrips, which I've seen that most farmers they struggle with thrips. And these are those tiny black micro pests that you see in between your onion leaves.
Okay.
And like as you know, that is not easy to spray your onion thrips because they'll be hiding in between those leaves. But maybe that there are some solutions like Ampligo, which you can apply to a rate of about 500 ml per hectare, which can be able to wipe out all those thrips,
okay,
to ensure that you are going to make a very good crop and very good profits.
KD, I want us to focus on weeds now. You would find that in any cropping enterprise, weeds are a nuisance. And if you are not careful as a farmer, you end up sharing your chemicals and even your fertilizer with the weeds, which will lead to losses. But now with the name of the program is agribusiness, where we focus more on production economics and how to capitalize on your resources, because we have latent ability within our inputs, and you have to ensure that every fertilizer that is within the soil should be utilized by the crop you intend to market. Can you maybe take us through weed management and general chemical application when it comes to curbing spread of weeds or growth of weeds?
No, I think I agree with you, Wadzenai, on the fact that right now we are happy that we are in 2022 and there's so much technology that we can use, which is also the use of chemicals. So what I've seen in this enterprise is the fact that farmers they struggle with their annual grasses as well as the broadleaf weeds. And I'm happy that there are so many solutions which farmers can use, which include herbicides such as Go, or you can use fusilate forte, among others, to ensure
okay,
that even transplanting you can spray, and as well as post transplanting you can as well spray your herbicides.
Okay.
And that's why I was happy that our farmer here was saying he never even used a hoe or any labor to weed out the crop, because he made use of such technologies such as herbicides.
Okay, KD, finally, your word of advice to our farming community in terms of undertaking production, onion production. You would find that in Zimbabwe, in our supermarkets, like I highlighted earlier, we are having these beautiful golden bulbs that are being imported. But here we have the conducive environment, we have the comparative advantage whereby our soils and our weather requirements or our climatic conditions do support the production of onion. Can you maybe highlight to our audience there at home the importance of growing onion and how it can maybe address issues in an economy such as export growth, import substitution? We are talking of becoming food secure and an upper middle class economy by year 2030. Take us through the importance of our farming community to undertake projects such as onion production.
I think that's a very, very important point, Wazanai, because I'm happy that our Ministry in Agriculture is encouraging food security at household level. So what I'd say is there's no field which is too small, there's no field which is too big. Wherever you are, whatever you are doing, please make sure you've got a portion where you can allot onion for your family, for your household consumption.
Yes.
And by that you're also learning the strides which you can grow into a big commercial entity like what you can see here, where a farmer is doing the most to feed the nation.
Okay, thank you so much, KD. It was a pleasure having you with us today.
Thank you, Azanai.
On that note, viewers, we have come to the end of this week's edition, where we are talking of onion production and the advantages that come with producing onion as a country, where we are going to be addressing issues such as trade imbalance, export growth. From me, your host was Zanai Manyore. I'm also on Instagram. It's W Manyore, and the crew behind the scenes. Have yourselves a fabulous evening. Thank you for watching.